Hello, Be Smart viewers. Welcome back to another engaging episode of Manager's Mantra, where we connect with industry leaders who are shaping the future of business management. Today, we have with us Nikhil Narendran. Advocate Nikhil Narendran is a leading technology and media lawyer, currently partner TMT and head of the Digital Innovation Group at Trilegal, president of the Center for Internet and Society, and vice president of the International Technology Law Association. He specializes in AI, data protection, cybersecurity, telecom, and digital commerce, and advises companies at the intersection of technology, law, and business strategy. He was a lead advisor for Open Network for Digital Commerce (ONDC) in India. He regularly delivers lectures at leading law schools in India and abroad, including Harvard University and Stanford University. So, without waiting further, let's jump right into this insightful discussion.
Hi, Nikhil. A very warm welcome to this new session of Manager's Mantra. It is a privilege today to have you participating in this session. And I'm sure, the viewers will be super interested and they will have a great learning from this particular session.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for having me.
So, Nikhil, the first question that we want to ask you is that, of course, change is the only constant in life. So the legal industry has, been constantly evolving. It has been traditionally very conservative, but then what has changed in the last 2, 3 years that kind of accelerated AI adoption in law firms, and what has been your experience?
Thank you, Abhishek. So Abhishek, what has been happening in the legal industry? I would say it's not just in the last 3 years. I would say since the time India's liberalization started in the early 90s, you've seen a new type of legal entities known as law firms, which exist in the market. They've come about and they've brought in a different structure of organization around lawyers itself. So instead of lawyers working in individual law offices, now we have large law firms such as the one that I represent, Trilegal, whereby there are a large number of partners who collaborate and coordinate with each other. So given the fact that we are large organizations, our needs and demands are also slightly different compared to the traditional law offices that one is familiar with. And because of those reasons, we have traditionally invested in various aspects, including human resources, um, very professional finance management, very professional technology resources, etc. So in the last 3 years, what has now happened is that, look, with the advent of AI, we are seeing that the traditional way of doing work of a lawyer is completely being upended or changed by artificial intelligence. A very interesting thing to know about artificial intelligence is the fact that, look, we lawyers deal in the knowledge economy, and artificial intelligence, being generative AI, has first starting to disrupt the knowledge economy itself. And we lawyers sitting on top of it is one of the professions which is also getting disrupted by it. So given the fact that our work deals with a large number of text, production of text, large number of research work which needs to be done, large drafting and reviewing of large number of documents, artificial intelligence is now being able to be used by us to work much faster and at a much more efficient pace. And that has ensured that we are able to serve the needs and the demands of the clients at a much larger scale than we ever used to be before. So earlier, the sort of scale that law firms achieved by way of the sheer size and the number of people who work for the law firm is now being, I would say, multiplied with AI itself, because each and every lawyer is now able to do much more work and provide services to the client in a much more efficient fashion. So this is something that we've not necessarily seen through. Probably the previous time that we saw this sort of change was when internet came about and revolutionized the legal profession from slow mailing documents and then getting it reviewed or getting it typewritten. We saw how internet has fast tracked our legal profession. Now we have moved on to the next phase where artificial intelligence is in fact supercharging the way in which our lawyers are serving the clients.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. Really interesting perspective. So from your vantage point, is AI in law still experimental, or has it already entered the mainstream?
I would say it has entered the mainstream in a large way. And for this, obviously, in law firms, for instance, for bigger law firms, you will see that many of the law firms have implemented specialist AI tools within the organizations. And the purpose of these AI tools is to help them serve their clients in a much faster, efficient model that, like I described earlier. Apart from that, what we are also seeing that even in smaller towns, even in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, even in law offices, there is such a prevalent use of AI technology. Sometimes there may not be specialist legal technologies that's being used, but general purpose AI tools which are being used, like for instance, whether it's a ChatGPT or Claude, which is now being used for reviewing documents, drafting at a much faster pace, or even for that matter, simple things like even proofreading a large document, right? So we see that now AI is entered the legal sector itself, and it's not an experimentation stage; it's a fast adoption mode. And we are seeing both sides of it. We are seeing the positives of it. We are also definitely seeing the negatives of it. So to answer your question, less the days of experimentation are gone, and now we are moving to the age where we will actually see a lot more agentic workflow coming into the legal sector, whereby the agents can work behind the background even when a lawyer is sleeping or a lawyer is not working, right? So we see the second phase of legal AI entering the legal sector.
Thank you, Nikhil. So, as the focus, we know how much focus is there on artificial intelligence. It's the new Dhurandhar of the hour. So, there will be a lot of discussions on AI in this interaction during this conversation. Again, my next question is also based on artificial intelligence, whether you perceive it as a threat to lawyers or you see it as, one of the biggest opportunities that the legal profession has ever seen, perhaps. And again, comes with opportunities. There will be challenges. There will be a scare. So there will be disruption. So do you also think that AI will lead to job losses in the legal services industry?
Yeah, so I mean, look, I'm someone who treats AI as an opportunity because this is one thing for sure. AI is the next general purpose technology, just like electricity or just like the way internet is. It's becoming a core part of the infrastructure of any knowledge service that you do. Given that, I think one would have to unfortunately only treat AI as an opportunity and as a threat, right? At the same time, it's likely that such a huge disruption, which is affecting or if it's just changing the way we work, is bound to have some amount of disruptive work on at least some part of the population itself, right? So how do we deal with such situation is by upskilling or reskilling ourselves and ensuring that we embrace the change and be ready for the future that it offers. We all do not know what exactly is going to happen once AI enters legal field in the fullest possible extent possible at this point of time. It's difficult for us, you and I, to imagine how that world will look like. But the fact that it is entering our legal profession, just like any other profession, is there to stay. Given this, the way that I approach is that, look, it should be seen as an opportunity, which will help us to do our work much faster. It will be able to augment the current capacities, which are often limited by the human limitations, including, look, we can only work for probably around 8 to 12 hours a day. But that's not the case with AI. Similarly, AI can do a lot of work in the background without us necessarily being involved in that particular task. So there are many, many advantages of using such a technology such as AI to supercharge or power or legal profession per se. So I see it as an opportunity. And in one sense, I don't think it'll lead to job losses in the way that we understand. Because the way I imagine is that, look, typically, if you just look at the concepts, for instance, there is this concept known as Javan's paradox, which means that when something becomes very efficient, when knowledge production becomes very efficient, the demand for knowledge will only grow up, right? When the need for when lawyers are able to do more with respect to their legal services, the demand for lawyers will only go up and it won't necessarily come down. But at the same time, it's very important that, look, any new lawyer who will probably come out and start the profession would need to be equipped in with respect to the tricks of how to manage the profession with AI. Otherwise, there is a chance that they may be left out or left behind. And the other opportunity that I see is as well, India is largely a market which is underserved for lawyers. We have probably around 2.5 million registered lawyers in India, which is which pairs in comparison. It's nothing in comparison to the 1.4 billion people that we have in this country. So to that extent, I would believe that it's an opportunity for the 2.5 million lawyers in India to serve the 1.4 billion population in India. So I see it as an opportunity which will help our country serve the needs of the large population of this country, and also support the court system and the legal system of the country.
Uh, thank you, Nikhil. That was really insightful. Let us now, deal with the problem of accountability. Let us focus on accountability now. Uh, who is liable? Who is to be blamed when AI gets it wrong? We have seen instances where judges have complained about lawyers using AI-generated content, AI-generated wrong information in their pleadings. So, how to tackle that? Who is to be blamed?
So I mean, it's a very valid question, and it's actually on everyone's mind. This question is something which is on everyone's mind, and the interesting thing, Abhishek, is the fact that look, the fact that you use AI does not necessarily change your responsibility or accountability as a lawyer. You are a professional, and you're first of all, you're responsible to the court that you represent. You're responsible to the client to protect the interests of the client. So from that perspective, you cannot dilute your responsibility by saying that, look, I use AI, which is the same case today as well. I mean, the fact that I may be using internet or any other tool, for instance, a Microsoft Word, I cannot go and tell the court that, sorry, my Word document did not spell check properly. The Word software did not spell check properly, so that's the reason why there is a spelling error. So even right now, as a professional, I am responsible to the client and to the court. And that responsibility will continue to stay on whether you use AI to perform your work or not. And what we have seen and what we've been seeing so far is that, look, there is been instances where lawyers have unfortunately used AI, and there have been instances of hallucinations. There have been instances where case laws have been made up where the case law did not exist. And even in those instances, what one needs to remember is the fact that in those specific instances, the lawyer has failed in his or her professional responsibility to be responsible to the client and to the court. And it is not necessarily a failing of AI. So the lawyer needs to understand that he or she is responsible primarily of the work product, of the submissions that's made to the court, and cannot shield behind the AI, and the accountability will always lie with AI. And any lawyer, even today, will be doing that. It's basically relying on first principles. We as lawyers have been trained on first principle that we have to only rely on primary source of information, and we cannot rely on secondary source of information. And even the age before AI, I am sure there have been instances where people have hallucinated. People have looked at a piece of paper and hallucinated. In fact, in front of me, there have been instances where folks have argued with me saying that the law exists, whereas the law did not exist, right? So it's very possible for these sort of situations happen even without AI. And I would say that it's sometimes the lawyers who fail to uphold this principle of first principle of checking the primary source is the ones who gets it wrong. So my advice to any lawyer who will be using AI is to stick to the basics, stick to the first principles, and always check your primary source.
Thank you, Nikhil. Nikhil, you must have dealt with a lot of legal cases facing corporates. Now, if you compare them, what are some of the toughest legal challenges facing corporates today that are kind of very difficult to resolve? And there are young leaders who are joining this new corporates, who will be joining the new corporates. How concerned they should be. How can they, face such issues and tackle those?
So it's a loaded question, Abhishek, which probably we can go on for another 20 minutes on it, because there are vast number of laws in India, and there are different challenges that each of these laws are posing. But let me just take a step back and probably just try and give a very high level outlook of some of the key challenges that corporate leaders in India face. Look, to put it simply, I would say the first of one is actually the issue of trust building, right? And trust building means that essentially you have large number of laws in the country, and it's very difficult to often comply with all the laws in the country. And if you do not comply with some laws in the country and you essentially there is enforcement against you, that may erode the trust in your brand, in your otherwise perfectly functioning business that you are carrying out. So you need to be able to prioritize and understand what are the risks to you with respect to compliance with any law for that matter, whether it's consumer protection, whether it's environmental clearances, whether it's data protection, and the impact that will have on the trust in the system. Sometimes the trust needs to be built with the regulators as well. If you breach or if you do not comply with certain laws, a certain regulator may have a problem with this, and regulator may lose trust in you. So you need to be able to prioritize that when you do business in India, because India has a large number of laws. It's impossible to have 100% compliance when you do business in India. You should have the right kind of advisors, the right kind of team who will be able to point out to you and point out the risk with respect to non-compliance, risk with respect to loss, and risk with respect to the calls that you take while doing business in India. So I would say that that's what a corporate leader in India should prioritize: adequate prioritization of risk and taking the right kind of risk when you do in business in India. That's the most appropriate thing a corporate leader in India should do.
Thank you, Nikhil. Nikhil, a large part of our audience will be watching this interactions are the students. It will be very, very interesting for them to know that what are the different business, what are the different kind of opportunities in legal tech or consulting, especially for the MBA students. And how can they build a career in that? What are the critical skills that they need to build careers in that? In such profiles where law intersects with data, AI, business strategy.
So there are a large number of opportunities which are coming up for professionals who may want to enter the legal tech sphere, whereby, look, like I mentioned, law is being the practice of law is being disrupted through the use of technology, including AI, and which means that we are now at a phase where the lawyers are taking their workflows to AI. Now there is a next phase which is going to happen when the workflows of lawyers will enter AI, right? So which means that there is large amounts of consulting opportunities where professionals can work with law firms and lawyers and help them tackle the challenges which is posed by AI, whether it's with respect to training, whether it's with respect to infrastructure build out for preparing yourself for the AI adoption within a law office or a law firm. There are a large number of opportunities. And specifically with respect to legal tech products, what we have seen in the market is that there are large number of products which have been coming out in the market. There are opportunities in many of these companies. There are some wonderful startups in India who deal with legal tech. You all have opportunities to work in companies such as that, whereby you can combine the aspect of law, tech, and business and provide services. I would say that legal tech per se is, even now, it's a nascent stage. We are just literally at the 1.0 of the legal tech journey in the world, not just in India. Most of the time, what we've seen is that the legal tech across the globe has been built just by technologies who have a peripheral understanding of law and the law industry. Whereas we are now seeing a new trend where the lawyers are entering into the mode of building of apps and products. So when that happens, we will see more of workflows of lawyers getting adjusted and being addressed by way of legal tech solutions and products that are coming out. So this is an incredible opportunity for everyone, including MBA students, including law students, including technologists for that matter, because at some level, look, one of your first points about first questions that you made was with respect to how conservative law is as an industry or as a sector. That has been shaken up or changed to a large extent, right? Once that change or shaking up is happening, we will see a lot more opportunity coming up for all these students. They obviously, when they step into it, they need to have some understanding of law as a domain, then law as a sector, in the way in which the business actually works, and client relationships are formed and nurtured and maintained. And thirdly, a good understanding of technology itself will help them tackle these challenges thrown by the legal tech.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you so much. So with that, we come to the end of the conversation. That was really insightful and really interesting. And thank you for taking out your time and busy time. I know as a lawyer how busy you would be. So thanks for taking out time and talking to us, interacting with us today. I'm sure this will be a great learning session for all the viewers watching this interaction. We would be glad to stay in touch with you and have you again in one of our sessions. Thank you, Nikhil.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap on this episode of Manager's Mantra. Thank you, Nikhil, for sharing your insights on India's legal space and providing career suggestions for management students. Be Smart viewers, we hope you found this conversation helpful. Share your thoughts with us at besmart.edit@bsml.in. Follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram for more such insightful and inspiring content. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.